Mhm. Like the Essassani, the YahYel have brought a lot of timeless knowledge from outer space. Can you talk about what the overlap is between crystals and sacred geometry?
Well, in a sense, crystals are quite literal embodiment of sacred geometry. They contain it within themselves. You must have seen many shapes and forms and slices and under microscopes of crystals. Even in a sense, you could say that this is wonderfully represented by ice crystals, or what you call snowflakes. Sacred geometry all over, you see. So that would be the biggest overlap. And then as an energy frequency, you could say that crystals are the fundament within your physical reality, structure or realm or kingdom, even you could say, from which everything else then eventually fine tunes into new shapes and orders, but it will all still be containing the crystal platform or blueprint within itself. So if you go from crystal kingdom to plant kingdom, now plants have a very different way of living, as do crystals, but they do have their own consciousness. And plants do still, if you tune in with their energy frequency, and if you look at segments of plants under the microscope, you will still find sacred geometry. You will find that in anything, in nature. Sacred geometry is everywhere. It's the fundamental blueprint, in the sense of the design of nature itself in many ways. But in crystals, it's very obvious. And in plants, you would have to look a little deeper for it. And in animals, even a little deeper. If you're talking about your visible world, your tangible world, the way you can scientifically research it. Now, energetically, you could say that even though you all contain crystals in any way, shape, or form, even you as humans contain crystalline forms within your body all the way through. And these are crucial for your existence and to function properly within your bodies. You contain many minerals and crystalline forms that are within your beingness. But if you compare a bare crystal, like a quartz, to a human being, now there's a huge difference in perceiving reality. And because the quartz represents simply the blueprint level, you could say, in manifest form, just cleanly that. As a human being, with the way you're exploring consciousness, you can interact with the crystal and use that blank slate, in a sense, to play with. You can use the crystal as an antenna or a receiver. And quite literally, this has been done in many of your inventions, starting with, for instance, your radio. You know this, don't you?
I know this, absolutely. Yes, rose quartz. Right.
So the idea of using crystals in that way means that you can play with them. And this is why within the spiritual scene, a lot of crystals are being used in all types of rituals and as a permission slip for the amplification of a particular idea. You can send a thought or a loving intention to a crystal, and it will literally encapsulate or embrace the harmony wavelength of the intention that you feed it. And so in that way, you can use it as a tool, as a reflection, because remember, everything seemingly around you and even your body, everything in the physical is a permission slip, is a tool in your journey of spiritual expansion. So there's nothing depending on this. There is no need to insist on this working a specific way or forcing intention onto it. It's something that you can choose to play with if you will. And from that love-based, light-hearted energy frequency, crystals may serve people in many, many ways if they choose to believe that they can. They can really get into a very personal interaction with these crystals, with these minerals, with these quote-unquote stones in a very unique manner, you see. So that's one way to look at it.
Beautiful.
Does that help?
Yeah, that's it, it's very interesting. It's to me, I'm thinking almost when you take things to a subatomic level, there's so much inherently going on within things that
yes,
we're not even aware of on a conscious level, but there's so much life underneath life, blueprints underneath blueprints.
You will contain your own inner universes. It really never ends. It literally never ends.
Mm. Well, speaking of universes, in an article in The Guardian, they were interviewing scientists, and the scientists estimated that there are 36 worlds out there that are capable of communicating with others. What's your knowledge about that? Is that accurate as far as contactable alien civilizations out there?
Well, there's an infinite amount of worlds that you can cross connect with. Closest to you would be the other versions of Earth.
Interesting.
So that's
Parallel
where
universes?
exactly. So that's where that starts. Even we spoke about this shortly last time we spoke. When we talked about the idea of tuning in with something that might happen in the future and the feedback you get from your inner self, the sensations you get when you wonder, shall I, for instance, move to that house or shouldn't I? And in making this consideration, you may get a very strong sensation that it would be a good idea to do so. And we said to you the last time we spoke, that may very well be a future version of you that is already living in that house and tremendously enjoying it. So you're speaking to yourselves through time and space already. So even right there, the parallel versions of Earth that you can choose to communicate with start there, are intrinsically woven into your here and now perception of reality, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. Now, we understand that the author of the article was most likely referring to planets and societies in the cosmos, right? That would be very other or somewhat other than your own that you could choose to connect with. And yes, then there are certainly 36, way more, an infinite amount. We haven't even counted them all just yet. And now we're not just talking your solar system, but beyond. So out there is an infinite amount of species and entities and beings, of which many we don't even know just yet, that are capable of connecting with us. But just think about this. Within all that is, everything has an energy frequency, so does a thought. So if you think about the possibility of something being out there that may be of what you understand to be the level of intellect, just to give it a label, that would make it possible for them to connect with you in a way that you might somewhat understand. The moment you can come up with that thought, in fact, already proves to you that that must exist. Because the thought itself has an energy frequency to it. And it matches that actual society, or any society that matches this particular idea. So whatever you think of, in one way, shape, or form, has a level of existence to it, whether it is in your universe or another, whether it is physical or non-physical. Everything that you can think of has a quality, an energy frequency of itself. And this is why entertaining positive thoughts has such a wonderful effect, ripple effect on your lives. Because even though you're entertaining a positive thought that you think you may never, quote unquote, be able to manifest into your actual reality, the energy frequency of it, and as long as you continue to entertain it, will ripple into your reality, and it may manifest in versions of it, you see. And you may see little winks from the universe that fragments of what you're playing around with in your head and feeling optimistic about. This is key. This is always key, to connect it to the feeling energy frequency. Otherwise, you're just projecting stuff. This is not about imprinting mentally something that needs to happen in your future. This is about feeling the joy and really reveling in the idea without hanging all types of consequences or insistencies around it so that it could possibly manifest. You don't have to push your way through time and space to allow things to manifest in your version of reality. That's why it's called allowing to manifest. And a little earlier, you said, how is it possible that we can choose to be focused on relatively negative stuff and just be focused on positive stuff once in a while and still be a master manifester, right? Remember?
Yeah, exactly.
And we want to reflect back to you with all the love that we can muster. Please, you are all master manifestors. You all are. You're born master manifestors. Right now, wherever you're sitting, wherever you're being, whatever you're focused on, whatever you observe around you, you're manifesting it. You're manifesting that, all of that. If you would look at a cup of tea, it's a miracle unto itself. If you would really sit and stop and think about, you manifested that. You manifested the entire orchestration of the universe, all the human beings that participated in thinking of that cup of tea and then creating it and making it with ceramics or what have you, and then delivering it to your doorstep in your version of reality. And that whole storyline is just an excuse that makes it believable for the rational mind that the cup of tea is right now here. And there's truth to that storyline, but the truth is also that that cup of tea onto itself has its own experience of reality and is being recreated and recreated and recreated every single nanosecond you're holding it. You're doing that. It's this and that, not this or that. And that's magic onto itself. So just grabbing something from your direct environment, or just putting your hands on the table and feeling the solidity of it in your version of reality, may help you ground into the remembrance of the fact what a master manifestor you already are. And that loops back to the idea of loving where you're at. And then that will help you get into more tangible shifts of reality into a version that might be more preferred for you, if that's what you're choosing to explore.
Oh, thank you for that. Woo, woo, woo.
Oh, thank you
so
for
ding,
allowing
ding,
it
ding.
through.
It's just so gorgeous because I feel enormous gratitude that I manifested this connection with you. I feel like, how did I get so lucky? Which, I say tongue in cheek. And at the same time, I feel very humble that, once upon a time, this wasn't a conversation. And then when I started with you 6 months ago, I came with some stuff, based on my preconceived notions. And I feel like in 6 months, I've come incredibly far with this connection with you, with this idea of extraterrestrials. Now it is, of course, conversation. And the fact that I even get to have this time with you to nurture these ideas and to keep forwarding, what's possible here, to the point of gaining wisdom from you, insight from you, and even, dare I say, at some point, a real, true interaction with you or another extraterrestrial. That makes me so excited.
Well, thank you for loving yourself so much, because the excitement you're feeling is your own natural energy frequency. The reason you resonate with what you're receiving as information through this channel and from us in this way as you are is because you remember, you're reconnecting to the larger part of yourself. And that's why we so often say we're only reflecting back to you that which you already know but have temporarily chosen to forget, you see. That's very much truly the case. We're here at your invitation, like we've said before. And we know you're asking, we understand your yearning for understanding better who you are. And it is in your passion and your self-love and your excitement of discovering more of who you are that you are now falling in love with yourselves. And darling, there is no more beautiful thing than that for us to see. And we don't mean that in a narcissistic way, obviously. We mean that for each and every single one of you who is willing to embrace themselves full-heartedly with everything they see, exactly where they're at. That's the idea of an all-encompassing love, all-encompassing love. So once you treat yourself like the lover that you might be longing for in your version of reality, we're now speaking to all the people that are in that way, having this type of desire. Once you treat yourself that way, you become the energy frequency of love in that way. And you may find people left and right starting to treat you more kindly, come up with surprises, send you cute messages by text on your phone. There may be so many little winks from the universe reflecting back to you. You're allowing yourself to come home, because that's what the effect is of living this level of self-love. And it will be easier for you too, when you encounter any type of conflict or challenge in your life, to look at these things with compassion, to see the beauty and the journey in the other beings that are reflecting these ideas back to you of challenge and strive. And you can see that they are, with their genius free will, choosing a path of resistance, and they're free to do so. And you can love the fact that they are using their free will to paint their version of their reality in this way. They're painting their picture to look like that. They're doing that because they're free. And if you cannot love the picture because it's really simply not what you desire or what you prefer, then you can still love the freedom and the unconditional love that is carrying even that into existence. Because if it wasn't for unconditional love, it wouldn't exist at all. It wouldn't be there. It wouldn't add to all that is. It wouldn't add one more valid perspective to all that is. So if you find yourself having a hard time understanding what other people are choosing to do, then at least you can choose to love the fact that they're free to do what they think they need to do, even if they think they don't have a free choice. And that loops back to the idea of empowerment. You're sending them an energy frequency of empowerment. I see you doing something very destructive over there. For instance, this might be something you think in an observation of something. But even that somehow must contain some value within all that is, or you wouldn't be doing it. And then, of course, you can think about maybe offering assistance or not, whatever calls you in that moment. Follow your alignment, follow yourself. Don't move from obligation, move from empathy. See if you can move in from joy instead of concern, and you'll find everything lightening up for yourself and that other person, most likely. But don't insist on it. Following your excitement to the best of your ability in every single here and now, as far as you can take it without pushing or pulling, and with zero insistence as to what the outcome ought to be, is the message that our race, the YahYel, the YahYel, the race before us, and the Sasani, and those before them are living by. And it is because we've gained proof of the efficiency of this particular formula in our own realities or versions of realities that we can share it with such confidence, knowing that if you choose to apply this formula in your own life, you will see reflections of it.